Hello friends, this is Vijay. Welcome to ForumIAS Hindu Daily. In our today's news analysis, we are going to discuss the list of topics in the display. The first one, judging a decade of POCSO Act. Its significance is in Mains GS2 and Preliminary GS1. Now let us dive into the topic without any delay. The topic titled, Judging a Decade of the POCSO Act. It came in today's editorial part. Okay, here in the intro part, the author RK which have been discussing certain keynotes and significant futures. Okay, in the initial phase of the paragraph, he have been discussing that India ratified UN Convention on the Rights of Child in the year of 1992, right? Actually, it came into the UN Convention on the Rights of Child. It came into enforcement in the year of 1992, but UN kept this convention for signature since 1990. Okay. Meanwhile, India had ratified the convention in the year of 1992. Then, according to the principles of the UN Convention on the Rights of Children, India had enacted the POCSO Act in the year of 2012. There are certain features are there. Okay. With respect to the POCSO Act, the Act is a gender neutral. Okay. It have been dealing both the perpetrators and the victims below the age of 18. Okay. Then, it have been delineation, penetrative assault and non-penetrative assault. Okay, so this is the delineation the POCSO have been doing. Then actually the punishment under the POCSO Act will be very severe, and it have been acceding certain privileges to the victim, okay, for conducting the cases in a fair way. Then the key note in the introduction part is poor conviction rate. Only 35 to 40% of the accused are getting convicted under the POCSO Act. And the author also mentioned about the male victims. We might be thinking that only female children and female adult alone will be getting subjected to the sexual abuses, right? But it is not so the case. The male victims are also there. And he have been quoting the example from Madhya Pradesh, where for every 1,000 cases, almost 0.8% of cases which involved male victims. Even though the number is very low, but we should accept the truth of males are also subjected to the sexual abuses, right? And recently, the POCSO Act, it also included the storage of child pornography is also an offense. Okay, so this is the new provision into the POCSO Act. Now let us dive into the next one. No change in the investigations. Okay. In this title, the author have been discussing the provisions envisioned for the investigation process. Okay. Here, the women sub-inspector, okay, if the victim is female, children below 18 who is female means, the women sub-inspector should record the victim statement. Okay. But you might be knowing that in our security forces and especially in the police forces, the women share is very low, right? Only 10% of the service personnel are women, right? Therefore, he have been quoting that shortage of the women police personnel will crumble the investigation process. Okay, this is what the author have been quoting. Apart from that, investigation unit on crime against women. Okay. It was designated by the Home Affairs, okay, Home Affairs Ministry, and for every district, we should assign the investigation unit, okay. It will be head by the Assistant Superintendent of Police of the concerned district, and the expenditure will be shared on a 50-50 basis between the state and the center. But for this provision, most of the states, they didn't show any interest to formulate the investigation unit. Then, we should have Mahila desk in each and every police stations. But in this article, the author have been quoting that in most of the police stations, they don't even have single women police personnel in their stations. Okay, so this is what the author have been quoting. And in the provisions of the POCSO Act, it have been insisting the police personnel and investigating agencies to use audio and video tools to record the statements from the victims. In one of the most famous case, Shafi Mohammed versus the state of Himachal Pradesh in the year of 2018, the Supreme Court also stated to follow the technical guidelines for recording the crime scene evidences using the audio and video tools. Okay, but the pilot project to satisfy the judgment, it had to get implemented. Okay, so this is what the author have been stating here. And second, the medical examination by the prosecutrix is to be conducted according to the provisions of the CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code. And if a girl child, if she is subjected to penetrative assault means, we should not conduct the two-finger test. Okay, the prosecutrix are the respective doctors who are in the investigation process. Previously, they were conducting the two-finger test. They will be injecting the two fingers into the vagina to inspect the seriousness of the case. But actually, the court had banned this method, but still the court have been observing that in most of the cases, okay, the banned two-finger test have been conducting upon the victims. Okay, and another one main issue the court observed, the author had stated that the FSL, okay, the forensic science laboratory in most of the states, they are not equipped to deal the cases which are happening in the modern times. So this is what the author of the article have been discussing. Then let us see the issue of the age determination. Okay, so in the issue of the age determination, the author have been quoting the Juvenile Justice Act. Under the Juvenile Justice Act, if the child below 18 is committing a heinous crime means, the provisions of the act have been providing guidelines to consider the child as an adult or a child. Okay, if child below the age of 18, if he is committing some rape, okay, serious rape case, then there will be a board. They will determine whether we can keep the concerned perpetrator under the column of child or under the column of adult. Okay, so this is what the Juvenile Justice Act states. The author have been quoting the principles of Juvenile Justice Act, and he have been asking the government to infuse the guidelines of the Juvenile Justice Act into the POCSO Act for age determination. So this is what the Apex Court also stated in the Jainal Singh case versus the state of Haryana in the year of 2013. Okay, under the column period of investigation, the author of the editorial have been stating the issues related to the rape cases investigation. Okay, there is a 2 months deadline. Okay, this 2 months deadline is not related to the POCSO Act, but the provisions in the Criminal Procedure Code. So within the 2 months deadline, we need to complete the investigation process of the rape cases, because the Home Affairs Ministry, they will be monitoring the progress through the CCTNS and the state police headquarters. Okay, therefore the investigation personnel or the investigation officers, they need to complete the investigation within this 2 months deadline, else they will be facing issues from the Home Affairs Ministry. Therefore here two issues are involving. The first one, it have been mounting the pressure upon the investigation officers. Okay, so this is what the point quotes. And the second one, the quality of the investigation is getting compromised, because within the 2 months they need to complete the investigation, right? So for that they have been rushing up the investigation process. Therefore the quality of the investigation is getting compromised. And apart from India, in US, the arrest and all they will be doing only after the collection of the evidences. But in India, the arrest and all will be carried in the initial stages, and the evidences and all will be collected later. So it have been delaying the process of entire investigation. And the author also stated that if the charge sheet was not filed in 90 days of the arrest means, then the accused will be granted a bail. Okay, and after filing the FIR within 60 days, okay, if we are making a charge sheet means the accused are started seeking the bail. So these are the few issues which have been reducing the conviction rate in the POCSO Act. So the government should take corrective measures to enhance the conviction rate, like that the author have been discussing in this editorial. Okay. Now let us dive into the next topic. NGO flags generalized surveillance by the center. Okay. The non-profit organizations, ISPAI. Okay. In India, various internet service providers are there, right? So they are having one association, ISPAI, Internet Service Providers Association of India. Okay. So this is the NGO, and in the Delhi High Court, the hearing is going on between the ISPAI and the government representatives, where the ISPAI have been stating that the enforcement agencies and the intelligence agencies, they have been gaining the data from internet service providers from all the domains. Okay, either it can be a voice call or video call or surfing. They are screening everything based on the keywords, like that the ISPAI have been stating in the court. So in the court, they have been stating that the state is becoming a surveillance state. Okay, each and every moment of the citizens have been capturing by the state agencies, like that ISPAI have been arguing in the High Court. So this is what the entire article is about, and the government representatives, they have been stating that we are using sufficient safeguards in surveillance, like that they have been stating. But the advocate who representing the ISPAI, he stated that in the month, okay, almost some 7,500 requests have been approved by the Home Ministry. Okay, out of 900 interception requests, 7,500 requests have been approved. Okay, no human can having this much capacity to provide the approval for the request. So this is what they have been stating. And here some three agencies have been mentioned. The first one is NatGrid, and the second one is Netra, then the third one is CMS, okay, Centralized Monitoring System. Now let us discuss very briefly about each and every organization. The NatGrid, it is under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and it came into existence after the 2009 terror attack. It acts as a platform to assist the intelligence and law enforcement agencies who are involving in the internal security. Okay, here their function is solely upon the internal security, because within India there are a lot of terror agencies they have been operating. Okay, so NatGrid, it purely function as a internal security agency, and their ultimate aim is to counter the terror. So this is what the NatGrid have been doing, and they have been injecting some robust mechanisms in their operations to track the suspects and prevent the terror attacks anywhere in India. How they are doing? They will be gathering the information from various agencies. Okay, the travel data, then the telephone informations, then the residential informations. These informations and all will be pulled into the NatGrid, and it will be get utilized by the central agencies. Almost some 11 central agencies, they have been gaining the data from NatGrid. Okay, but there are certain criticisms are there. What are the criticisms? The state agencies, they have been stating that we don't have the access to the NatGrid. Okay, because state agencies are the one who have been working in the ground. Okay, if they didn't get any accurate data from NatGrid, means how they will be cautious in the how they are functioning. Actually, they have been gaining data from various agencies like telephone service providers, internet service providers, and travel data. Okay, then residential informations from the local police stations. These and all have been getting pulled into the NatGrid, and this information have been utilized by the agencies who are involved in the surveillance. Almost some 11 central agencies, they have been getting clues from the NatGrid, okay, for pointing out the terror activities. And there are certain criticisms are there. The state police agencies, they didn't get any access to the NatGrid. Okay, so this is a serious issue because state police agencies are the one who have been working in the ground. They should get some critical information for better operations, right? So this is the criticism, And this is the concern which have been raised by the state police agencies. And let us see the NETRA. Okay, NETRA is networking traffic analysis. See, you can think the NETRA as a screen. Okay, offshore countries, and here it is India. The information will be flowing through the screen. Okay, to and fro. Here the NETRA will be working as a screening center, and they will be using various keywords to point out the terror activities. Generally, it is used by the Intelligence Bureau and the Research and Analysis Wing. Okay, NETRA, it is operational only for the external security. Therefore, the Intelligence Bureau and the RAW have been involved in the screening process. And NETRA was developed by the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, DRDO organization laboratory, and NETRA is functional under the Defense Ministry. Okay, so these are the keywords you should keep it in mind, because you can expect the questions in prelims. Then central monitoring system. Okay, CMS we used to tell, centralized monitoring system, and here the government have been doing the certain automations for lawful interceptions and the monitoring of the mobile phones. Here some two individuals, they will be discussing about the terror attacks, right? They can do certain plans over the call. Therefore, the centralized monitoring system, they will be intercepting the mobile phones of each individuals based on the suspicious activities and certain keywords. Okay, and they will also do interception based on certain inputs from the intelligence agencies. Okay, so this project is run by the Center for Development of Telematics. Okay, and why there is a need for a surveillance by the state? Because you might be arguing that the surveillance by the state have been infringing the privacy of individuals, right? But in India, we are having the extensive users of the social media, right? So it should be regulated by the certain agencies. That's what the surveillance comes. And we need to regulate the social media domain. Therefore, we need to keep certain surveillance agencies. The second one is organized crime. In India, you might be know various agencies, okay, various anti-state agencies who are operating in the offshore. They have been perpetrating the attacks with the help of the sleeper cells, especially the ISIS. Okay, recent days ISIS came into the screen because of their operations through their sleeper cell, the lone wolf attack and all they had carried out. So this is what the organized crime. Okay, so to prevent those attacks, we need to be vigilant in the network systems. The third one is here, neutralizing the terror activities. Okay, in India, we know that in the year of 2009, the September 11 attack happened. Okay, it was a pre-planned one. Therefore, to neutralize such terror activities, we need to be very vigilant. And misuse of the privacy clause. Most of the social media organizations, they have been ensuring the privacy of the citizens who are involving in the social media. But the terror agencies and outfits, they have been misusing this privacy clause and they have been perpetrating the attacks against the state apparatus. It also mandates the surveillance of the system by the state agencies. Then the last one, to enforce the Apex Court advisory. In the Tehzeen Poonawalla case and in the Prajawala letter case, the state agencies have been requested by the Apex Court to form the standard operating procedures with respect to the surveillance by the state agencies. Okay, so to enforce those standard operating procedures, the surveillance is a timely need. This is our third article. What is key to controlling the diabetes, awareness or wealth? Okay, so here in the first question, the question was the NFHS 5 data, it recently came, which indicates that 10.6% of the women in the poorest 20% households were either on medication to control diabetes or they have a random blood glucose level higher than 140 mg per deciliter. The corresponding figure for the richest 20% of the households is 17%. With such a marginal difference, is it correct to call diabetes a rich man disease? But in the answer, they have been discussing that the diabetes is not a rich man disease anymore. Before 20 years, it was so, but not today. So this is what they have been discussing, because the poor people, they don't have access to the nutrition-rich foods. Therefore, they have been feeding on the starch-rich foods like rice, wheat, etc. So these rice, wheat, etc. and all, they have been having very high glycemic index. Okay, if the cereals or grains or anything, if they are having high glycemic index means, then the prevalence of the diabetes will be very high. Okay, therefore we need to feed on the foods which is having the low glycemic index. And in the second question, what are some of the factors behind diabetes among the poor beyond what we know, and which is diet and exercise, and what kinds of challenges are they facing? Apart from the diet, we should also focus on the physical activity, sleep levels and all, because the secretion of the melatonin, okay, you might be known the importance of the melatonin. It will be getting secreted during the deep sleep, and it will repair the body parts which is affected by the free radicals throughout the day. So in the night time, while you are sleeping, the body will repair itself with the help of the secretion of the melatonin. So we need to focus on the sleep activity and sleep pattern, and the stress level and all should be keep in the threshold level. Okay, then the visceral fat. Okay, the visceral fat is nothing but the fat which is surrounding the organs. So we should keep corrective measures to keep the visceral adiposity under the threshold level. Okay, so this is what they have been discussing in the second passage. And how would diabetes play out differently between a lower income person and a higher income person once diagnosed? Generally, you might be know that in India, the out-of-pocket expenditure is 69%. Okay, so the poor people, they don't have command to purchase their medicines for their diabetes. So this is what they have been discussing here. But rich people, they are having the command over the resources, so they will be taking the adequate treatments for sustaining the impact of the diabetes. Then in the fourth question, when we look at the NFHS data, we see that 7.4% of the women who had completed 0 years of schooling were either on medication to control diabetes or had a random blood glucose level higher than 140 mg per deciliter. The corresponding figure for women who completed 11 years of schooling was much lower. 8.4%. Can education be used as a proxy for awareness about the disease? Education matters a lot, because these days, because of awareness, the people have been altering their diet pattern and they have been altering their daily routines and all, right? Therefore, the knowledge is very important to tackle the impact of diabetes and to reduce the prevalence of the diabetes. People should be having certain knowledge over the diabetes. Okay. So this is what it have been discussing here. And how is diabetes manifesting among the rural population? Among the rural population these days, they are also having command over the starch-rich foods. Okay, previously they were taking the nutrition-rich foods, but due to the globalization and the related impacts and all, their diet patterns are also getting altered. And in these days, they are having access to the modern transports. Therefore, the physical activity levels are getting reduced. So this is what they have been discussing here. How does the diabetes affect women differently? Okay, here the author have been discussing that in India, we are having certain familial and gender hierarchies around the food sharing and food mechanism. Okay, so these factors and all have been enhancing the probability of the women to get the diabetes. So this is how the author have been discussing here. And apart from that, you might be knowing that the endocrine system of female is totally differ from the male endocrine system, because there are certain critical hormones are there in the female body which will be exposing them to the gestational diabetes during their pregnancy time. So this is also we should note. And in the next question, the last question, is this really a question of access to information about the invisible disease rather than of wealth? Okay, so here they have been discussing about the healthier diets and the physical activity and education and all. Okay, so that's it. Now let us briefly discuss the difference between the type 1 and type 2 diabetes. This is the article of Ohio Health. Here you might be knowing that the type 1 and type 2 diabetes, but apart from that, there are other two variants are also there. The one is the gestational Okay, I already told you gestational diabetes will be developed during the pregnancy time and the pre-diabetic stage. Okay, the pancreas, you might know, right? It is one of the largest gland in the human body. It won't secrete any insulin. Okay, if that's the case, means you are having the type 1 diabetes, and it usually developed during the childhood, but also at any age it will develop, but generally it will start developing during the childhood, and genetic disorders are the main issue or main factor behind the type 1 diabetes. The family history is the topmost risk factor, and the symptoms are bedwetting and blurry visions, frequent urinations, and increased appetite. Okay, people will be eating a lot if they are having type 1 diabetes, because the insulin won't be there, therefore the cells and all will be in huge hunger, but there will be a sufficient glucose level in the blood, but it won't get sucked into this cell. Okay, because insulins are the one, they will be acting as a carrier to transfer the glucose outside the cell to the interior of the cell. Okay, if insulins are not sufficient, means then these issues and all will be rising. And the last one, tiredness and weakness and unexplained weight loss. These are also the few symptoms of the type 1 diabetes. No prevention methods, because it's a genetic disorder, so there won't be any prevention methods, and insulin injections will enable the patients to manage the type 1 diabetes. Under the type 2 diabetes, your body will be producing the insulin. Okay, but the mechanism to transfer the glucose into the cell and all will be not operating. So this is what it have been paving the way for the type 2 diabetes, and it can develop at any age, especially after the age of 45. And the risk factors are obesity, overweight. Okay, and if you are not having the body mass index in a healthy range, means then you will be having high probability of getting the diabetes. Family history also matters, but through weight management and managing the sleep pattern and all, we can reduce the susceptibility of getting the type 2 diabetes. Then high blood pressure also will foster the process of getting the type 2 diabetes. Then the symptoms, the same symptoms, appetite and all will be very high, the thirst will be very high, and frequent urination, blurry vision. The symptoms of the type 1 and the type 2 is almost same. Okay, then the prevention, healthy lifestyle. We are not supposed to take any refined flour or refined sugars, then hydrogenated fats. Then we should take sufficient fibers, especially the soluble fibers. Okay, so these are the few healthy lifestyle we should incorporate into our life to prevent the type 2 diabetes. And the treatment, by giving the insulin support, a patient can manage the type 2 diabetes too. Okay, so these are the brief classification of the type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And the pre-diabetic stage, before getting the type 2 diabetes, people will be going through the pre-diabetic stage. Here the glucose level will be in the range of 125 to 130 mg per deciliter. Okay, so if they are having pre-diabetic stage, means we can reverse them to their normal routine life by incorporating certain corrective measures. If we didn't incorporate any corrective measure, means then this pre-diabetic stage will move into a type 2. Okay, the patient will be a type 2 diabetes patient. This is our fourth article, National Export Cooperative Society to trade nano fertilizers, dairy products in 3 months. So the National Export Cooperative Society, it was recently formed under the Multi-State Cooperative Society Act 2022. Okay, so it will be exporting the nano fertilizers produced by IFCO and the dairy products from the Amul. IFCO means Indian Farmers Fertilizers Cooperative Limited. Okay, and leading cooperatives of India will be promoters of the society, and they will contribute 100 crore each. Who are the contributors? The first one is IFCO. Okay, the first one is IFCO, then Krishak Bharati Cooperative Limited, then the NAFED, National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India. Okay, then Amul, you might be known that Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. So their marketing name is Amul. Then NCDC, National Cooperative Development Corporation. So these are the 5 organizations. They will be contributing 100 crore each. And National Export Cooperative Society will be having an authorized capital of 2000 crore. Okay. The area of cooperation, they are going to operate each and every corners of the country, and their ultimate aim is to enhance the exports in nano fertilizers, especially the liquid nano fertilizers, which was developed by IFCO and the dairy products of Amul in the upcoming 3 months. Now let us see the certain constitutional provisions related to the cooperatives. In Article 243 ZH to 243T, Indian Constitution had mentioned about the cooperatives, and which is located in the Part 9B, and it infused into the Constitution through the 97th Constitutional Amendment. Article 1C have been related to the fundamental rights to form the cooperatives, which is under the Part 3. Okay. Part 3, fundamental rights, especially the freedom of speech and expression. Okay. Under that, Article 19(1)(c), the fundamental right to form the cooperatives is there. Then in the DPSP, under Part 4, Article 43B have been mentioning the promotion and management of the cooperative societies. Then Anonya Sahakari Mandali. This is the India's first cooperative society, but the most successful cooperative organization of India is Amul. Okay, they are having a turnover of 50,000 crores. Let us briefly discuss about the cooperatives in India. These are certain facts. You can use it for your mains exam. Almost some 8.54 lakh registered cooperatives are there in India, where they have been holding about 29 crore members. Okay. Then they are having their presence in agriculture, horticulture, fertilizer, handloom and handicrafts. 28.80% they are contributed to the fertilizer production. In India, the top 6 fertilizer companies are cooperatives. Then 35% of the fertilizer distribution is enhanced by the operations of the cooperatives. Then they are also involving in the sugar production, and their stake is 30.60%. And in milk production also they are having a stake of 17.50. And Amul is one of the giant milk producer in India. I already told you they are having a turnover above 50,000 crores. Okay. How it is differ from the Export Promotion Council. Okay. And here the agency is going to enhance the scale and quality of the exports, and their main focus is on the farmers and the artisans, and they will be acting as a platform to promote the business, and they are also providing avenues in the international markets where our cooperative supply chain can be streamlined, and it is going to provide end-to-end services to the cooperatives. Apart from that, the dividends and all will be shared with the manufacturer instantly. Okay. In the Export Promotion Council, they will be providing some incentives, and they will be giving you the access of certain international markets, but they are limited to only the MSME. Okay. But this organization, they are going to focus entirely upon the cooperative segment, and the brokerage fee is 0. Okay. So this is how it is going to be different from the Export Promotion Council. Now let us see the next article. This is our last article for today's analysis. Here the title, the Supreme Court backs right to free speech of 2 lawyers up for the judgeship. Recently, the government refused to appoint 2 lawyers as a High Court judges, and the matter came into the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court backed them with the provision right to free speech enshrined in the article number 19. Okay. So the Supreme Court backed the right to free speech of 2 lawyers recommended for appointments as judges in the Madras and Bombay High Court. So this is the news, and more about the news. Okay. In the judgment, the court stated that all the citizens in India, they are having a right to free speech and expression under the article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. Expression of the views by a candidate does not disentitle him to hold a constitutional office so long as the person proposed for a judgeship is a person of competence, merit and integrity, because they are having anti-government opinion. Okay. So in the investigation agencies or intelligence agencies report, it came into the government and it mentioned that they are having anti-government opinion. That's what the government was reluctant to elevate them as a High Court judges. However, the matter reached the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court have been backing with the Article 19(1)(a), which have been enshrined with the right to freedom of speech and expression. Therefore, the two lawyers, even though they had critical views about the policies of the incumbent government, it won't disqualify them to achieve a constitutional vote. This is what the Supreme Court had stated in its judgment. And how is a High Court judge appointed? Under Article 217 of the Constitution, the judges of High Court shall be appointed by President in consultation with the CJA and the Governor of the state. Okay, so this is the basic provision. In the case of appointment of a judge other than the Chief Justice, the CJA of High Court is also consulted. The consultation process, okay, the High Court judges are recommended by a collegium comprising CJA and two senior most judges. This is the outcome of the third judge case. Already we have seen the judge case in our news analysis, so please watch it. This is the procedure of appointing the High Court judges. Okay, I had taken it from the Law Ministry website. Here they have been stating that in a simple terms, let me tell you, the entire process will be kickstarted by the CJA of High Court. Okay, he will be recommending some names and the recommendation will be forwarded to the governor. If Chief Minister is also recommending some name, means it can incorporate with the consent from the CJA of High Court. Okay, then the entire proposal will be forwarded to the Union Minister from the governor. Okay, after certain preliminary checks, the Union Minister will forward the entire document to the CJI, Chief Justice of India. Okay, then after getting the consent from the CJI, the President will appoint the concerned lawyers as a High Court judges. Okay, so this is what the entire procedure have been revealing. Okay, so that's it, friends. Now let us enter into the prelims and mains question part. And here is the prelims question for you. The project Netra recently appeared in news is related to, they have given 4 options. Early warning system to detect the space debris. Then the second option, spy system. Then the third one, anti-tank missile. Then the fourth one, surface to air missile. The first one, early warning system to detect the space debris, right? Let us hold it. And spy system, we have seen about the Netra today. So we should hold A and B. Anti-tank missile is NAG. It is not Netra. It is a NAG. It was one of the 5 missiles what we developed under the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. Okay. It is a NAG. It is not Netra. So we can eliminate C. And the surface to air missile. Okay. We didn't develop any surface to air missile in the name of Project Netra. So we can eliminate option D also. And we know about the Netra, right? Netra is a spy system under the Defense Ministry. So B should not be an answer. And the answer option A is the right one. Project Netra is a early warning system to detect the space debris. And we are going to install this Project Netra in our space installations. Okay. So option A is the right one. Then the second question, consider the following statements with respect to the diabetes. The first statement, type 1 diabetes occurs due to the genetic impairment only. And the second statement, type 2 diabetes occurs due to both genetic disorders and the lifestyle changes. The type 1 diabetes, I already told you, it is mainly due to the genetic disorders. In type 1 diabetes, the pancreas won't secrete any insulin. In the type 2 diabetes, the pancreas will be secreting the insulin, but the mechanism of transporting the glucose into the cell will be not in operation. So we can reduce the prevalence of the type 2 diabetes by following the healthy daily routine, but we can't prevent the type 1 diabetes, okay? Because it is due to the genetic disorders. Even though the statement 1 is very extreme, it is a right statement, and the statement 2 is also right. So the answer option C is the right one for the question number 2. Here is the mains question for you. In the post-pandemic era, non-communicable disease have been spiking the death rate among the population. List out the causes for NCDs and enumerate the measures to tackle the prevalence of NCD in the context of India. Here in the intro, you can give the definition for the non-communicable diseases. Okay. Then in the body, you can list out the causes for NCDs. What are the non-healthy routines we are following in the daily life is the causes for the NCDs. You can list out in the body part 1. And in the measures, you can list out the healthy routines, what we can follow in our daily life. Okay. Also, they had given that in the context of India. Okay. So this is a keyword. And in India, the per capita consumption of palm oil and the refined sugar is very high. So we should reduce those refined sugar consumption and the palm oil consumption. So we can interpret those as an examples to these questions. And in the conclusion, we should give some glimpses over the government initiatives, and that's how the answer should be concluded. Okay. So let me catch you in a tomorrow analysis, friends. Thank you for your patience.